ladies, it's your girl Ashley Brown 100. I am back, and today we're talking about being in the in-between. Now you're probably thinking, Ashley, what does that mean? I don't know if you're like me, but there's been many times in my life where I've been in between situations, in between paychecks, in between job opportunities, in between relationships, in between car situations, in between career opportunities, just in between a lot of different things where I was just kind of like, God, how are you going to pull this off? Like, God, how are you going to bring me out of the situation? And today I specifically want to talk about being in between relationships. Now, if I'm transparent, I was recently going through a transitional point in my relationship with my boyfriend where we were just trying to figure it out. We're just trying to figure out what's the best option, you know? Do we surrender it all? Do we fight harder? Do we just let it go for now? Like, what do we do? And if you're like me, being in the in-between, I don't do well in that place, you know? And that's probably why God has me in these places more often than I want to be, because he's trying to teach me to be confident in him. But when I was going through the situation, I was just like, I need to know an answer. Like, I need to know if it's this or it's that. You know, I work good with this or that, not it may be this, if you know what I mean. So I happened to go to my best friend's house, and I was just explaining to her about what I was going through and what we were going through, and like what I should do, and if I do this, and if I don't do this, and if I do that, what the outcome would be. And her advice was just basically like, you know, Ash, like, it's always going to work out. Like, just be patient, just be still. It's going to come together. It's going to work out. Now, that's all great and all, but if you're like me, I'm like, I need something that I can physically do to replace these thoughts that are giving me anxiety and worrying me to death about this relationship. So I ended up going home, and I was kind of just like overwhelmed, and I ended up coming across this Bible verse that really got me thinking. It really helped me, and I hope it can help you as well. And it was 1 Chronicles 16:12. Remember the works I have done is what the Bible verse says. And it got me thinking about all the times, like I said, that I was in the in-between where God came through. I created Ashley Brown 100 because there's been multiple situations I went through in relationships where I wanted to come to you guys and give advice to how I overcame that. And I just thought about those times where it just seemed unbearable. And I was like, oh my God, my life is coming to an end. This guy broke my heart. And that I'm okay. And I'm still standing to this day. And I remember the times where I didn't know how I was going to pay something, and God sent me a check in the mail, or I got a direct deposit, or just different things that God's actually came through in ways I could have never dreamed or imagined. So I started thinking about that. I'm like, okay, God, like, if I've been in this situation before, I know that you are the same back then that you are now, which brought me to my second verse that helped me get through being in the in-between, which was Hebrews 13:8, which states, Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And that really got me thinking, like, oh, thank God that we serve a God that doesn't change. You know, circumstances around us change daily, every minute, every second, but we serve a God that doesn't change. And that really helped me because, like I said, all the times where I went through a heartbreaking situation where I thought that I would never overcome, or I thought that I would never get through it, like I said, I'm still standing today. And that goes for you as well. If you're going through a hard situation where you're thinking like, okay, I've never been through this before, how am I going to get through this? Use me as an example, because if you're a believer and you serve a God that is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, that he will do it for you as well. Now, another thing that really helped me, like I said, like when people give me advice like, oh, don't worry about it, it's gonna all work out. I'm like, okay, great, but what do I do in the meantime? So what I did was I ended up coming up with a thing called a book of remembrance, which is this book right here. And it's no special book. It's a book I found, I think, like at Ross or something. And I liked it because it had a quote on it, which was the trust in the Lord in everything you do, lean not on your own understanding, which was the Bible verse that's on my wrist that I talked about last week. And it was just like blank pages. And what I did was I started jotting down and remembering all the times God came through to me. And what I did is I put them in categories, because if you're like me, there's so many things that us women worry about or we think about. So I put them in from like financial to relational to career, and different things that I went through that God brought me through. So what I do is I carry this book around with me everywhere that I go. So when these thoughts of fear and anxiety about the what ifs and how's it going to work out, I pull out my book of remembrance. I remember that I serve a God that's always came through in ways I never dreamed or imagined. So I want to encourage you out there that if you're in the in-between, keep going so you can get to the other side, because it's always for a reason. It's always for a reason why God has you in a place. Maybe that's for surrenderance. Maybe that's for patience. I don't know what it is, but I know it's always for a bigger cause and a bigger reason. So I want to hear from you. I hope this video helped. I want to know if you've ever done something like a book of remembrance, or what do you do when you're in the in-between? Who do you call, or what's the best advice you've gotten? I want you to write a comment below. Make sure you subscribe above, and I want to hear from you, so please write me a comment below, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll talk to you ladies later. Let's make it a great day.